Record it normally. My name is so foul, married to myself. My love is so foul, living by herself. When she does it, it means to. Most delivered a message. Unexplained on your silence, crawling in silence. A simple excuse. Na 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 na
Does the island's rich heritage of Iceland, does it have much influence on your work, besides the work of, say, poets, etc., the island itself of Iceland?
Well, the energy, I'm very much made out of Iceland, and just energy-wise, culturally, no. It has got a very strong sense of literature and storytelling, which I think is here in Ireland too. But culturally, no. There is literally, well, there's almost no such thing as Icelandic music. So which is quite convenient for me because it meant I could invent it for myself. Violently happy, 'cause I love you. Violently happy, but you're not here. Violently happy, it will get me into trouble. Violently happy, I'm driving my car too fast with ecstatic music on. Violently happy, I'm getting too drunk. Violently happy, I'm telling people to jump off roofs with me. Only you can calm me down. I'm aiming too high. Soothe me.
What about in 1986 when the Sugar Cubes hit? I mean, from the very word go, you were big. Birthday was taken by the British music papers in particular, and by the time the album came out, America went for you as well. Like, the Sugar Cubes were liked an awful lot. So why did the Sugar Cubes break up?
Well, we never really existed, you see. It was a joke. It was a weekend band because in Iceland, because it's just so small there, and if you want to have a film festival, you have to make it yourself.
Yeah.
And if you want a good club, you have to start it yourself. And if you want a weekend band to dance to, you have to sort of play in it yourself, you know. So Sugar Cubes were one of those, but they were really sort of poets and sort of novelists and people like that, sort of pretending they could do guitar solos for a laugh. But the whole world misunderstood it, you see. So it was a con. We were conned.
But do you say you were conning people as well? Is that it?
Well, we decided, we resisted for 2 years. And 9 of the biggest record companies came to Iceland and tried to force us into being pop stars. We refused. Then after 2 years of that, we finally thought, maybe we should try this, because then when we're 75 and talking to our children from our rocking chairs, we might have regretted that we didn't try this.
Right.
So that's why we did it. And found ourselves very quickly doing guitar solos in Texas and more ridiculous things like that. But it was only funny for a while, you know. And then when we sort of tasted it, knew what it was like, we decided not to do it anymore.
But were you happy with the way the foreign press had treated the Sugar Cubes at first and then became unhappy, or do you realise it's just a game you have to play?
Well, I put out a record when I was 11, which became quite big in Iceland. And then I've taken part of maybe about 20 records since then. And one day they love you, next day they hate you. So I kind of do what I do, and it doesn't matter if people like it or not. If they do like it, it's a bonus, but I can survive easily without it.
But what about coming right up to the present now? I mean, with the current album, with Post. I mean, Army of Me, the single, let's just say the first single. With the movie Tank Girl, did you have a look at what the rushes of Tank Girl were at first and decided, yeah, this is exactly what I want?
Well, I liked the comics, and people that did the comics, they asked me to act in the film, but since I'm not an actress, I said no. And then they asked me to put a song in the film, and because I like them, I put that song that I had already made and gave it to them. But I asked them to see the film, and they wouldn't let me see it for some stupid reason. And then they sent me the trailer, which doesn't really show you the ingredients of films. It just shows you the surface of it. And I thought the surface was kind of all right. And since they wouldn't let me see the picture, I flipped the coin and then ended up giving them the song. Stand up, you got to manage. I won't sympathize.
The image of Björk has been written about so often that nobody has a clue anymore what you are or what you are not. I mean, I'm sure you've laughed at some of the descriptions of what Björk is, because you say, that's not me. But I mean, are you tough? Are you hard to work with?
I feel very strongly, I'm very stubborn about my ideas and feel very strongly. But probably because my mother was a hippie in the good sense of the word, I was a punk. I've been brought up with in a way that I don't control other people and other people don't control me. As long as you will let me be myself, I won't be aggressive to you, and vice versa, you know. And that's the sort of philosophy I believe in. And all the people I work with, from the person who's my great friend for 8 years, who makes my album sleeves, to the video directors, to the musicians, to the engineers, to the musicians, to my lawyer, to my accountant, or manager, my secretary, all the babysitter, all the people. I don't work for them and they don't work for me. We work together.
And also, you said before that your favorite subject at school was mathematics. Would you bring a mathematical mind or a bent to the way you make your songs, record your songs, or write your songs?
Music and mathematics are the same thing, you see. And it's a known phenomenon that children who are talented musically, they're very good in mathematics, and maybe crap in everything else, and vice versa. It is because of the structure. Half of music, people think music is this gorgeous, completely abstract thing, which is true, but the thing which is gorgeous about music, it's got these complete contrast opposites. Half of it is complete mathematics, the structure of like rhythm is just mathematics, like 1, 2, 3, 4, or 7. Then you repeat that 11 times, and you have a build-up, and then you crash, and then there's the outro, and all the structure. It's just a very, very cold, clever landscape you're creating, you know, even you're aware of it or not. The other half of it is completely abstract emotion, which is so gorgeous. So you got the opposites in the same thing.
Have you had any formal musical training? I mean, when you grew up, I know you played the flute at a very early age. Did you actually go to any school or get any class?
Yeah, I was in musical school for 10 years, from 5 to 15, and learn about European musical history, the last 500 years or so. And then, you know, Stockhausen and Schoenberg and Weber and all that.
I mean, the thing about it is that you're known for so many different things, but one of them being innovative videos. I mean, videos that are different than anybody else's. Is this important to you, or do you find this is just something I have to do that has nothing to do with the music, but it's part of the business?
Well, basically, I come from a bit of a punk background, where I think all you have to do is kind of like scream a song in the microphone and then go home and sulk. And then slowly, surely, I've sort of found out that maybe that's not the way to do it. And maybe this is a pathetic, boring explanation, but since I am a woman and a mother of a child, it began especially with debut. I felt that my songs were like my children. And with children, you can't just give birth to them and then say, see you later, you know? You have to make sure you don't own them or anything, but you have to make sure that they get the best education possible, the best health care, that they are introduced to human nature and learned how to deal with it so people don't treat you badly and all those things. And then maybe when the kid is 15 or 20 or something, it has to manage on its own, you know? With my music, I tend to try to protect it as much as I can, all the way till it's in a record shop. So it will get the album sleeve that it deserves, it will get the video it deserves, it will get the photographs it deserves. And the photographs are not of me. They are of the person who made that music. And the videos are not about me, they're about the music. So I focus everything on this music that has been created. And that's why I follow up so closely on everything that is done with my music, very, very firmly. And it's not because I'm a control freak and I want to control the universe, because that's probably the thing I'm least interested in, but because I'm very protective towards my music, that's why.
Hey, sweet jazz, a sense of humor, suggest exciting sounds. His fingers, they focus on her attention. He's feelings as a boy.
If I have to have an effort with making a song, it's not worth it. If songs don't come up by themselves, it means they're not worth the attention. You know, you should never force a song. It just means it shouldn't exist, really. But with these songs, I don't look at them as fantasy at all. They are, of course, sort of a game with reality, but I want them to be, in a way, more real than a reality. And really, I am not an escapist. And when people look at me as being all ethereal and all over the place, and that's not what I'm like at all. I like to be very focused and very realistic about what I'm doing. I hate escapism. It's bad.
You were brought up in a hippie way. You just mentioned earlier on, you used the phrase boring hippie music. Is there any way at all that you might not have had a happy childhood, or that you enjoyed what your parents gave to you, but at the same token you couldn't exactly accept some of the ways they lived or some of their music or whatever?
I consider myself very lucky. I had a very, very happy childhood. And to be brought up by a hippie mother, I thought was very special. I think the media, because they find me quite peculiar for some reason, they tend to sort of try to find, but why did it all go horribly wrong? And then think, oh, it's because her mom was a hippie, and she didn't bring her up, and she suffered when she was a kid. That's not at all the case. I had a gorgeous mother, but the best thing about my mother, she let me do what I wanted. She trusted me that I knew what was for my best, you see. But of course, like every kid do, when you get older, you want to become the opposite of your parents.
Yeah.
Thank God, because otherwise there'd be no development in the universe, you know? You've got to go further than your parents.
Do you think pop music can change people's lives? Do you think it can even affect people in anything other than just a surface emotion way?
pop music, I think, is one of the most important force in the life. And it's always been ever since the minute that some of the monkeys decided not to be monkeys anymore, but to become the humans. And pop music, even though they invented this word this century, pop, it's always been around, you know, and a natural way of expressing yourself. And I think it saves people every day, all the time, out of serious emotional traumas, and music sympathizes with people in ways that other humans, or your best friends, or your lovers, or whatever, could never do, you know. And another form as well, not only when people are heartbroken, pop music is important, but also in a way to celebrate, which is just as important as sulking or depression, you know, like all emotions are.
Do you find in some ways that the music that you're making now is music that may be appreciated even more in 5 or 6 years than it almost is now?
I can't think in that way. I've been doing music for such a long time that every time I maybe started to think like that, or anyway started to think what people think of my music, I lose the plot. And because I've several times lost the plot, and it's such a scary feeling you wouldn't believe, that you train yourself not to think that way. The only thing you can do is please yourself. And the more selfish you are, the more generous you are, as contradictional as it sounds. So what I'm always just doing is just do what I need to do at the moment. And the minute I start to please 5 people, I won't please anyone. But if I only please myself, I might please 10 people, you see.
What about the voice? I mean, I know that you were a good fan of Kate Bush when you were growing up. So have you ever actually done anything with the voice, or has it just naturally evolved the way it is now?
I just let it go to the places it wanted to go. My voice.
And where might it go next?
I don't know. That's why I like singing, and that's why it turns me on. I never know what happens next.
So in other words, like after Debut and after Post, 2 incredibly eclectic albums, 2 completely different albums, 2 exciting albums, but 2 very different albums. You don't know what you might actually be doing next. Will it still be in the same vein in terms of being able to pigeonhole you into a sort of a 90s dance thing or whatever?
I don't know, to be honest. I always know what my next album will be emotionally. But most media people don't think emotionally. They think in sort of style terms, which is not the way. Style is just a tool to be used, like clothes. If you meet a person and you like the person, it doesn't matter if they wear a t-shirt or green socks or pink socks. And musical style is the same. It's just a tool to use to express yourself. But I think my next album, I think both Debut and Post are very similar albums from my point of view. That's why I call them Debut and Post. They are like the before and the after of the same experience. In a way, they are both the greatest hits of my music the last 12 years or so. But now I will be more modern and move and do more music which I'm writing exactly now at the moment. Not be so hooked with the past. And I think my music now will be more self-sufficient and more private, but at the same time more calm but more dangerous at the same time. I will always be myself. That's kind of something I better accept, you know, and I think I have. At the same time, one form of accepting what I am is that I will never stay the same. And everything changes, you know, every second. And nothing, you can't freeze frame anything. And I think I try to accept that as well.
And do you enjoy going around the world, Björk? I mean, like, do you like it all? Do you have time to actually take in the places you go to?
Not really, mostly just through the people I work with. Because I work every day. And, I'm either traveling or working. I've had 2 days off now since Christmas. I'm not complaining because it's by choice, you know.
Right, yeah.
And I work like 12 to 16 hours a day. So mostly just by communicating through other people, I find out what kind of place it is by getting to know them.
All right, I understand.
But I
of
don't
course.
really see places.
Yeah, I
That would be a lie
understand.
to say that.
Yeah.
But I'll probably have time for
And
that
what do you
later.
do to relax?
I swim.
Good. Okay. Thanks very much indeed, Björk. Thanks a
Thank you.
million.